So we got Caleb Williams plus 400. He's the favorite. Then it goes to Drake May, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and you're noticing a trend here, right? Jordan Travis, Brock Vandegrift, Quinn Ewers, Cade Klubnik, Drew Waller, and Jayden Daniels, and Joe Milton, Matt Green. When you look at this list from the early big favorites, who jumps out the most to you? Who like if you had to be a betting man, you're like, oh, that looks like the best value in that top group. Who's the best value?
Not the first thing that jumps out at me is Brock Vandegrift. Like these people know something I don't know. Like Brock Vandegrift having the 6th best odds to win the Heisman. That kind of threw me off. But obviously the quarterback at Georgia is going to have a shot. I personally think at those top, you said was that 10 you named?
I think so.
That are all like plus 2,000 or better. Jayden Daniels is honestly the one I like the most because I think I'm a firm believer in the year 2 spike. You know, I think there's just a lot of those teams, good coached teams especially, and I think Brian Kelly's been around long enough that you can safely say that he's one of the best coaches in college football. And I think, they definitely overachieved year 1. Like, I don't think anyone saw them getting to the SEC championship last year. So Jayden Daniels coming back, having a second year, like I think LSU could be a sleeper for sure. And because that's part of what it is too. Your team's got to win at least like 10 games for you to win the Heisman. So I think LSU, I think that's probably as good as bet as any. Like Drake May plus 1,000 isn't terrible for being like the second highest odds. You know, like I think Drake May. I don't even think I named him, honestly, because I was kind of trying to leave out quarterbacks. Drake May might just straight up be the best player in college football. Like, he's probably going to be the number 1 pick in the draft. So, I wouldn't rule him out either. He is the second best odds, but it's like at plus 1,000, it's not terrible.
No, I would sell all the Drake May and Caleb Williams stock, though. Like, I think Drake May I'm not a Chip Lindsey guy. I'm nervous about that hire from North Carolina. I'm worried about the Sam Howell job. Remember Sam Howell was going to go number 1 overall, and then it just completely fell off the face of the earth and he ended up going late because he had that bad last year in Chapel Hill. Like, I'm nervous about that one. And it's already really hard to go back-to-back. And when you look at this list, guess what? Caleb Williams is going to be surrounded by a bunch of other premier big-time quarterbacks. Michael Penix Jr. You've got DJU, who's high up on this list, which is interesting. You've got Bo Nix. You've got who else was in that top group? I don't know where he went. Oh, Cam Rising is obviously there. But anyway,
where is DJU? Because I definitely think DJU is a sleeper this year. Like I could see a Bo Nix type of resurgence for DJU at Oregon State.
I don't know. I don't know where he ended up.
I don't even see him on this list.
Maybe
but that's
2022. Yeah.
So this plus 8,000 is Leary. I don't know how many people is that? 25, 30 or so. So the biggest omission on here is Carson Beck. Like, whatever Carson Beck's numbers are, I would put that right now. Like, because I think he's the favorite to win the job over Vandegrift. So if it's plus 8,000, like, Tori was giving me the hardest time last year because I talked about Stetson. Like, it was something like plus 8,000. Like, before the year is like, we should probably put a bet on this. He's going to be the quarterback potentially for the number 1 team in the country. That guy lots of times can win the Heisman. So as it looked like those first few games when he was like actually putting up the huge stats and some of the Heisman buzz was creating, I was sweating a little bit. Like if I missed out on that bet, but Carson Beck I think definitely has as good a shot as any just because of what the formula is, But look, going down the list to me. I like Sam Hartman at plus 3,000. I think at Notre Dame, that just, that could just set them off. It feels like they've been a quarterback away. I mean, Ian Book was
he's
solid.
The most talented quarterback they've had in like a decade.
Ian Book?
No, Sam Hartman.
Sam Hartman, without a doubt. Ian Book was like good, but so I don't want to say they were quarterback away with him, but they kind of were. But
they were, man.
Ever since
Georgia
he left,
twice.
Yeah, so you could probably even apply it to those Ian Book. But yeah, especially like the year with going back with like the Te'o year and the year they played Georgia in Notre Dame. It was always kind of that same dual threat guy who just wasn't that great of a passer. they kind of seem to be that a lot. So Sam
and they
Hartman,
kept waiting. They're like, it's Malik Zaire, we promise.
Yeah, exactly. I can't even remember some of the Wimbush, Brandon Wimbush. I think he was the one that went to the title game.
Yeah.
But so I feel like Hartman definitely makes Notre Dame.
Or was it
contender.
him or Golson? I thought it was Everett Golson who went to the title game.
Everett Golson. You could be right about that actually. Wimbush might have been the year they played Georgia. I'm not sure. They're all so similar players to be honest.
I think Wimbush was a Georgia year, if I remember correctly.
Okay. But just going down the list, like Marvin Harrison Jr. like plus 5,000. Like he seems like he could have a Devontae Smith type of Heisman type season. Like he's to be that low on the list, and he's one of the best players in college football. I'd take a shot on Marvin Harrison Jr. KJ Jefferson taking a long shot. Who knows?
Yeah. For me, I have two. Matt Green. I have two that I think I would if I was getting on any of these right now. Here are my two. I'm not going Joe Milton. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you at plus 2,000. I would stay away from that one, folks. I'm not going anywhere near that one. What I will say, there's two that jump out to me. One, Will Shipley plus 6,000. With Garrett Riley entering the fold, you saw how much Clemson was giving him the ball, both in space, in the backfield. We've seen some running backs win it. Derrick Henry and company, Mark Ingram. Like, it's not impossible for a running back to win it. Strong, he was doing it all for Clemson in that game against Tennessee, and I think he's just a vocal point because the receivers are not what they've been in years past in Clemson, and he is asked to do a whole heck of a lot for that Clemson group, and I think narratives matter a lot in college football awards, and I think the narrative with Will Shipley is like, this is a do-it-all back. He is just a warrior. Clemson wins a lot of games is obviously a caveat. So you don't want to throw it at a team that you don't think is going to win like 11 or 12 games because it's just very rare for those guys to win the Heisman. Like you need to bet on someone who you think is going to be in the title game in their conference. Like you need those narrative pushes and they're going to have good years. I think Clemson will be right there for the ACC title game. And I don't know. There's part of me that's like Will Shipley. I think I could see him being like an all-purpose yardage freak this upcoming year where his numbers are bonkers.
And I think that's what it would take kind of – obviously, Derrick Henry wasn't that, but he was just such a workhorse. But, yeah, it feels like it takes that maybe like that Reggie Bush type that's like a dynamic catching the ball and obviously on the ground.
Maybe returning punts.
I don't know if I see that from Will Shipley, but in terms of like what is he, plus 6,000, it's like worth a shot.
Yeah.
I think there's a chance he could be the best running back in college football.
I would agree.
I'm not as high. Like I was very low on Will Shipley after his freshman year. I was like, especially for being a 5-star, I was not impressed at all with him in 2021. But in 2022, I think like the second half of the year, he showed like kind of how dynamic he was.
For sure. For me, the other one was Ty Simpson at plus 2,500. Like I think he's a really good player, 5-star out of Tennessee. Yeah. Like I think Bama's they're gonna bounce back, and obviously he's gonna have a lot of pass catchers. And just if you think Bama's gonna be really good, it's always good to bet on the Bama quarterback, and the odds are pretty low for that one. It's been Bryce Young at high marks for a while. The value's low there. I would jump on Ty Simpson right now because I think he'll be under center for Bama this year. I think that's pretty good value at this point.
Yeah, that's a good call. Same for Ohio State. It's like Kyle McCord's at plus 2,500 and Devin Brown's at plus 5,000. Like I don't know who's going to win the job, but every Ohio State quarterback's basically put up the same stats for like 12 straight years. So I would bank on them doing it again.
For sure.
I mean, if they had a dip, like since like Braxton Miller's, like he was like Big Ten Player of the Year. Then it just went straight to JT Barrett, like to whoever was after JT Barrett. Like was that straight to
that was Fields,
Haskins,
right?
And then
Haskins and Fields, yeah.
And now Stroud, like it's just elite production after elite production. Troy Smith even before, Terrell Pryor before that.
Cardale Jones even for a little bit.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous.
The Craig Krenzel years are long and forgotten. Justin Zwick.
Yeah. Was it Todd Beckman? Yeah,
those days are long gone. The Jim Tressel era is long gone, Matt Green. Last thing before we get back into our Heat coaching hot seat index, Matt Green, presented by Matt Green, and that's just how we're going to do it because I don't know how else to rejumble these words that we have together to name this segment. But Matt Green, Stetson Bennett made the news again this morning. Talked about it over breakfast with my wife and family this morning before we departed Atlanta to come back here to Knoxville. And I don't know, like my first thought to you, Matt Green.